I don't know if I said this, but we really saw no rate increase associated with the changes that we did have to make this year. I mean, with the dependent care, no lifetime maximum, I mean, we didn't see any real rate increase associated with that, so.
We didn't either. I think we've got a pretty rich program as well, but we're not self-insured. We're with one of the companies, and 2 tiers. We're certainly not doing anything as innovative as you're doing on the wellness side, and I think that's very interesting. I think that's something we should do. Our healthcare plan has been a helpful tool in recruiting and retaining good employees, good team members over the years, so we think it's a good investment. But we do have pressure every year when it's time to renew, you know, arguing over that premium. But I think we should, I'd love to find out more about some of the preventive things that you're doing.
There's again, this isn't an advertisement. Well, I've got a presentation we're going to sit through next week. There's a company that Humana, which is headquartered in our hometown, has just acquired. It's a South African company, and I think it's called Vitality. And their model is to come into organizations like ours. We're self-insured, about probably 4,500 full-time eligibles, and bring a wellness program. We've done the smoking cessation and we've nibbled around the edges on it, but this is a full-blown wellness program with cash incentives and rewards programs like a Marriott rewards program and that sort of thing to try to incent behaviors, because it's like turning a battleship. I mean, because you're trying to, you know, you're dealing with diabetes and overweight and smoking and major issues that I don't know that we'll see a dollar return on it in the near term, but I think over the long term, well, I think if nothing else, you'll set a standard sort of for what you expect the workforce to look like and to behave like, which hopefully will change healthcare behaviors and costs then over time. So I've got a couple more questions, but we've got about 8 or 9 minutes left, if my watch is right. And I thought we'd be glad to take questions if anybody's got any questions for anybody on the panel, or I can ask another question. I'm sure somebody around here's got a microphone, or you can just stand up and be loud. Here, it's a mic coming behind you, sir, over here to my right. Yes,
I'd like to hear what the various folks are doing on sustainability. We heard today awards on Energy Star. Are you doing Energy Star? Are you doing LEED? That sort of thing.
On energy, environmental issues, sustainability in terms of your community?
It's something we're very focused on, and actually Ed, who asked this question, is our architect, so we've done and has designed a lot of our buildings, but we're focused on one, at getting Energy Star certified, and we're actually have under construction right now. We'll open later this year our first LEED certified building, and I think we're going for silver there. So it's something we're very focused about, and our development team is really passionate about. So it's something we intend to continue to focus on. And I think, interestingly, we're really seeing our residents are extremely interested in this. And we actually had our first resident ask us where he could plug in his electric car. So we actually are going back and putting in a charging station at a community, and I think that's just only, this whole focus on this is just going to only increase as time goes on, so.
Yeah, I think the adult children will drive a lot of that conversation too, because they're going to demand it in terms of the types of communities that their parents live in, so.
Hi, over here.
Over here, yes, sir.
As a vendor that's trying to help residents with Alzheimer's remember their family, how does someone open the doors to the Assisted Living Federation facilities to get the product out? Because I've been knocking on doors for a year, sending emails, making calls, getting nowhere. And I'm here trying to meet people, and hopefully that's going to work. But is there a magic key to the doors to get in?
You have to buy Rick Grimes a really nice bottle of wine. So, no, I don't. Anybody want to respond to that?
Well, actually, there are probably several locked doors in front of each of us, but I think it's finding the right person in our organizations that can help you. I had several people ask me for my business card over the past few days, and I said, it's not my business card that you want. It's really the person in our organization that's in charge of you know, whatever product or whatever area that you're looking for. And I think I think finding that person, and particularly being in an environment like this where you're going to be able to see them face to face and have a conversation is far more effective than, you know, the emails, which, you know, they get thousands of. So I think this clearly is an opportunity. And I certainly saw some people here this week that when they had a chance to give me their elevator speech, it did intrigue me a little bit, and I said, well, let's follow up and talk some more.
I don't actually, just a hint for those of you in the crowd, I delete all of my sales emails that come into my email box. I just don't take the time to read all of them. But I would just encourage you to provide demonstration. Start small and have a demonstration of your product and the benefits of it, not just the features, but demonstrate the benefit and find a champion for it. And the champion will be in all of the organizations, someone in the organization that can use the benefit. That'll be your champion, and build the relationships, because it's the conversations that take place at conferences like this. So the people that call on us and have a face and a name and learn about our business and bring a solution to something that's actually happening in our business, those get our attention.
Yes, sir.
Hi. A few years back at ALFA, the unions were really targeting our industry, and it was a hot topic of conversation. I haven't heard as much about it this year. I was just curious what you all are seeing at your companies. Are you hearing from the unions a lot, or are they kind of laying back right now?
We haven't seen a lot of union activity in our properties. We operate, Atria had some properties near ours, and we were witness to all of those difficult things that happened in those times. But we haven't seen a lot of activity at our properties, but I continue to see a lot of activity with that particular union in trying to infiltrate the industry and bring bad things to happen on some of the operators. But in addition to that, I think in the last year or two, I think we've all seen an increase in workers' comp issues and in other employment issues and some very proactive stances on the part of the agencies to bring other pressures to bear that might be of benefit to the unions in their lobbying against the industry.
We haven't seen any big uptick in union activity at the community level, but I think I'm sure everybody up here participated in the call that Rick organized earlier this year, looking at the fact that now that EFCA didn't pass the Employee Free Choice Act, that through the National Labor Relations Board and Department of Labor, that there's a lot of increased focus and attempt to do by regulation what was unable to be done in legislation. And so that's, of course, very worrisome and critically important issue for ALFA to continue to focus on.
Our own philosophy is just to try to be as proactive as possible in what we're able to provide for our workforce. I'm proud at our company. We had no layoffs at the community level. We didn't have any in the corporate office either, but we had no layoffs in the community level through the recession. And we were able, because we were able to continue to drive rates, we were able to give all employees raises all the way through the recession. And we didn't do any wage freezes. They weren't 4% and 5% and 6% wage increases, but every employee who was performing according to how they were supposed to perform was able to achieve wage increases. And we have not cut. We've redesigned a little bit around the edges in terms of benefit design and plan design, but we didn't have any draconian cuts in what we did with our benefits, and have continued to try to improve those. My own gut and intuition is that's the best way you manage those sorts of issues, which is just proactive, good, strong communication, strong rewards, recognition programs. One of the core values of our company is to try to treat everybody who works for us with dignity and respect, because I tell our workforce I tell our team all the time, particularly our senior leadership team, the frontline employees in our organizations do all the work that most of us won't do for a living. And I mean that in a humble way. They are doing, they're brushing grandmother's hair this morning, and they're brushing her teeth, and they're giving her bath, and it's all stuff that people like me in coats and ties don't do for a living. So how we treat those folks, I believe, in terms of pay, all the hard stuff, compensation, benefits, salaries, wages, all that sort of stuff, and frankly, the work environment that we create for those folks is the best way to build a productive workforce. So. Just my own 2 cents on it.
I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead,
The
Brenda.
one, I would just say the one other thing I think that, because we did have 2 very aggressive union campaigns in 2007, and I want to knock on wood so bad right now to say that we haven't seen anything else, but the one thing that I think we learned, and we learned a lot of lessons during that time, is if you have an underperforming employee or very negative employee, they can be a real poison within your workforce. And I would urge that you deal with that employee, because they're not really going to be a good team member for you anyway long term and provide the kind of care that you want. And often we found if you deal with that employee sooner rather than later, then you're better off, because that as much work as you do to make yourself have a good team that delivers care, you can have that one bad apple or 2 bad apples, and it can really cause you a lot of harm.
You know, Brenda, that's interesting, because we along the lines of workers' comp, we just looked at who generates the bulk of our workers' comp claims. 2/3 came from employees that have been with us less than 18 months. Yeah. And it just sort of reinforces your point that if somebody's not performing, deal with it quickly, and there's real benefit to that. Yeah.
I'll tell you a cute story, and without a lot of detail. I'm sitting here chuckling about workers' comp. It's workers' comp is obviously a very serious issue, and we've all heard a lot of conversation the last few weeks about, or last year or so, about social media and how social media will come into our business. My workers' comp manager, Teresa, came in about 2 weeks ago. We thought we had a kind of a cultural problem in one building, because we got 5 workers' comp claims in real quick succession, all with the same chiropractor, and it was, so we were scratching our heads. And only my 30-something workers' comp manager, Teresa, would have thought to do this, so she Facebooked the ladies that were on the thing, and one of the ladies who was supposed to have been injured was on her wall was writing, stayed up all night partying, and had pictures of her raising the roof and all this stuff. And they actually printed it off and took it to the ALJ hearing, and the judge, he said to the other side, he said, why don't you all go in the hallway and see if you can resolve this matter? So Facebook does sometimes help a little bit. So.